Hello, my name is Alexandra. Welcome to my lesson. Today I want to introduce the idea of learning about composer's life and certain biographical facts through a musical piece as the piece unfolds. For example, when I teach my students Chopin's Mazurka, opus 7 number 2, I love to talk about Chopin's life as the piece unfolds from section to section. I think this is a great way for students not only to connect with their composer and to learn more about the composer, but also to remember all of the facts that we will discuss during the lesson. So it's a great way when we teach mazurkas to start from the introduction of this genre. What is mazurka and what it meant for Chopin? So mazurka is a national dance, it's a Polish dance, and Chopin was one of those composers, one of those people who were really attached to his motherland, his country. He loved Polish language, he loved Polish culture, Polish art. He dearly loved his family. So when we listen to mazurkas, we expect to hear this 3-4 pretty straightforward beat. For example, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But the way this mazurka begins, is very different because we don't have that first beat here at all. 1, 3, 1, 2. Right, so the first beat, 1, 2, 3. We didn't have the bass note for the first beat, so we don't have that sense of ground. So when I start teaching this piece, I tell my students that when Chopin was a little boy, he was a rather fragile child. He didn't have very strong health and very strong physique, so very often he was just sick and was quite sensitive. So you can get that kind of idea from the opening of this mazurka. Listen to it again. So I tell my students that Chopin had 3 sisters, 1 older sister and 2 younger sisters. And when his older sisters was practicing the piano, he very often would just sneak onto the instrument and spend hours there just listening to her. And when she would play something particularly sad, sorrowful, he would actually burst into tears very easily. So music had a huge impact on him since he was really a little boy, 2 or 3 year old boy. But even though he was so sensitive and, we can say maybe even weak physically, there's something interesting comes in measure 7. Something very powerful and very strong, unexpectedly strong. And so I tell my students that even though he appeared to be a weak child or weak person, he really wasn't, because he had this strong willpower in him, and that he will show later on during his life. When he was about 18 years old, he knew it was time to start a new chapter in his life. So when the first section ends, you feel that in this measure there's some kind of question, and then he doesn't know the answer yet. Then section B starts. Listen to the beginning. It sounds like he's questioning himself, he's questioning his life. He knows that something needs to change, and then he asks more and more, what is my next step? So those questions start torturing him until he makes a decision to try to live on his own and try to just go out into the world and see what it has in store for him. So he moves to Germany. He is trying to have some arrangements in Berlin, and it's not very successful, so he's pretty desperate, and then he tries other European cities. He goes there and just plays some concerts, introduce his own music, but he really didn't have much success. Then he goes to France, to Paris, because at that time it was a musical capital of the world, and he decides to settle there. Section C starts like this. Music again changed, so it's very peaceful, dreamy like major key. So I tell my students that when he is in Paris, he really misses his family, because again, he was so attached to his mom, his dad, his sisters, just to his motherland. So this is his way. The way this section sounds, it's kind of sounds like he is just trying to escape to his memories of his childhood, of his family, this warmth you hear in music. Then, when he was already established and famous musician in Paris, something terrible happened. Poland and Russian Empire got into a big conflict. So revolution started and Russia took over the Poland. So this is what we hear in the next section. Those sforzandos sound like a gunshot to me. So unfortunately, Chopin could not come back to Poland because the border was closed and basically did not exist. He couldn't come back to Poland until he passed away. He was never able to return to his family and return to his country, which truly made a big impact on him and made him extremely sad. After this dramatic dissection, when we can talk about revolution between two countries, we have this peaceful A major section that returns. And then we finally return to opening of the Mazurka. So this is the way you can try to explore when you talk to your students about certain pieces, and you can unfold the certain biographical facts for students as the piece unfolds together. This is a great way for them to truly remember those facts about composer's life, and it will stay with them for the years to come. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.